Good. Rachel, the meeting is yours.
All right, thank you. I'd like to call this regular Parks and Recreation Committee meeting to order. First, we'll do roll call.
Wickert,
Here.
Pesh,
Here.
Champagne,
Here.
Cast,
Here.
Henderson,
Here.
Garvett,
Here.
and Emily. Are we expecting Bob this evening?
Yeah, he said he's going to try to log in.
Okay. I'll watch for him. Thank you.
All right, next is communications. Do we have any communications this month?
No communications.
Next on the agenda is approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Garvett was the second by Wickert.
Champagne.
Champagne to approve the minutes from October 26, 2020. Any discussion?
Nope.
All right, we can go to a roll call vote since we are on Zoom.
Garvett,
Yes.
Champagne,
Yes.
Wickert,
Yes.
Pesh,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Cast.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, next is public comments. Is there anybody from the public on the call today who would like to speak that is not already on the agenda?
Let's see if anybody, any members of the public would like to address the board. Press *9 to raise your hand and I will unmute you. Press *9 on your phone to raise your hand. We'll give it a moment here to see if anybody raises their hand. Okay, phone caller 9408. If you press *6, you can unmute yourself and address the board. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, phone caller with the last four digits, 9408.
Sorry about that. I had my phone muted. It's Larry Gray, 2115 Glen Iris Court. Just wanted everybody to know that I'm on the call. I wasn't able to get on the WebEx here, finishing up my first day here at the office, so wanted to jump on the call. So I'm here. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know.
All right, thanks for joining, Larry. Anybody else?
We'll give it a moment here, see if anybody else wants to address the board. Press *9 to raise your hand. No one else has raised their hand?
Up next is item 1, League and Community Service Organization reports. Does anybody want to speak that is not already in the agenda packet?
So I do have an update from Carrie that she sent me that I'm going to read to you guys. Carrie, who's over at the horse farm, and I believe she is on this call. So if you have any questions, she can help us with those. She says the high winds last Sunday caused damage to the arena roof. Several panels were blown off and many other panels were loosened. The roof repairs have been started. Work on the foundation where the tree was growing is in process. The indoor arena base has been graded and sand added. The manure pile has been moved and the area regraded for better water drainage on the north side of the barn. A large bold coyote is frequently in the horse pastures and roaming the neighborhood at unusual times. Animal control had us contact the Oakland County Sheriff. The horse farm subcommittee will meet at the farm this week to look at maintenance and repair needs. And you can contact Carrie. I can give you that contact information if you have any questions for her. And I know that Mark is on. So the damage to the barn ended up being an insurance claim. And Mark did meet the adjuster and the contractor who is doing the repair work over there on Friday, I believe, Friday afternoon. And they are out there going through everything to make sure that the panels that blew off were put back on and any existing panels will be secure for the wind.
So question.
Sure.
Sorry for being late if I was late. So is that all they're going to do is put back everything? Is this still an issue that we should be looking at?
Yes. So They are only going to put back everything to make it wind tight, and they're going to deal with anything up there that may be loose. But in the future, we probably want to look at weatherproofing that roof as well as the roof over the observation room. So that is going to be part of our goal on Wednesday, is to develop priorities. So that would be a top priority since there is so much leaking, as well as the potential of moving the well. So Carrie is going to walk the site with us. Carrie is going to point out any areas that she feels needs to be addressed, and then the subcommittee will take that and set the priorities based upon the funds that are in the account and so on.
Okay.
Emily,
Second question, sorry. Coyote, what would be expected? Obviously kill it, but my point is, I don't know what maintenance can be done to, it's not a fence thing, so, I mean, I don't think it's expected to put chain link fence around the whole place to keep coyotes out. So I don't know.
This is a tough one. We had a coyote years back in Dodge Park that was pretty bold, and it would almost, I wouldn't say approach people, but definitely didn't turn the other way when people came close to it. And when we called the DNR and animal control, they told us there was absolutely nothing we can do. The difference is that was parkland and this is agricultural. So they are allowed to hunt them over there. It's just going to be up to the township if that's the avenue we want to go down. So that's going to
We can
require some
trap
further
it.
discussion.
So we can trap it. Okay.
Emily?
Thanks, sorry.
Yep.
I wonder if that's a park visit or a visit to the horse farm would be appropriate to add that into our rotation.
We absolutely can add it. Once it's safe to do so, we will for sure add it in there so you guys can go over there and see it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think we should do that next summer or spring or whatever.
Yep, I think it's a good idea. Okay, so if no more questions on that, Chris Haney, he is also on, but he did send me his monthly report, and I know that David emailed me too, and I haven't forwarded that out to everybody, but it was the number, so he can maybe chime in on that. Fall season at Dodge Park ended Sunday, ended Sunday, the 15th of November, with the only cancellations of fall due to weather and field conditions. Sprinkler shutdown was scheduled Tuesday, November 10th. I want it to be December, I guess. Would use Airified all fields Monday, the 2nd of November, and spring cleanup day is to be determined. And then I do have an update about that gate. So they were out last week and installed the post, and the gate is on order. So hopefully that'll be done in the next week or so.
Thank you. I have a question.
Okay, hopefully I have an answer.
Did you guys have a dog event out there on field 3 a couple weekends ago?
Sure didn't.
Well, somebody did, because there were at least a dozen of the same breed running around on field 3. Looked like they were doing some kind of maybe training or field trial.
Nope,
The good news was they cleaned up after themselves and there was really no issues. So
good.
I'm glad they
Yeah,
got to
nothing
use
that's come through us. So maybe we need to look at putting up a sign, like the sign that we need to put up another sign at the original fields, and then maybe put up an additional sign at that field too.
All right.
I mean, it's a park, so it's open to the public.
Absolutely.
The only comment I would make is maybe something in the sign that says if there is scheduled league activity that has priority or something like that, so that if all of a sudden the soccer practice showed up, sorry dogs, you're gone, unless coordinated with, maybe something along those lines.
And that's basically what the sign covered was.
Okay.
Yeah, to contact us. Yep.
Miss Rachel?
All right, yeah, nothing else from CW3? All right, do any other leagues want to present?
Emily, this is David Spencer. Did you want me to run through the numbers?
You can, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm David Spencer. I'm the new president of CW3. We just finished up our fall season November 8th. I think Chris mentioned that. We had a total of 324 players throughout 3 through 18-year-olds. We've got another session coming up that runs from, or is actually currently active from November 6th to January 30th. In that, we have registered 137 players. We're doing that a little differently through December 9th, at least, because of all the COVID restrictions. We're doing Zoom calls and working on skills that the players can work on individually. So that's kind of a new experiment that, if all goes well, we might continue to extend depending on what happens coming up in the next several weeks and the first part of next year. And then our Winter 2 session will run from February 5th to April 10th. And in February, we'll meet as a board and discuss all of 2021 and get organized for that. Any questions from anyone?
Obviously indoors. Is it out at the Wixom place or mixed around?
Yeah, for which one? For the winter sessions?
Well, the winter session.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
both
it would
sessions
be in Wixom, although right now it's over Zoom.
Okay. Okay.
They're just working on skills. They're not playing games or anything.
All right, thank you. Does anybody else from any of the leagues want to present or speak? All right. In that case, item number 2 is the Parks and Recreation Department report.
So as you know, last month I was happy to report that we had developed a plan to start to reopen the senior center, and the Sunday before that week was supposed to start, things changed for us. So yoga canceled on their own. We were still allowed to have meets on that Monday and Tuesday of last week until the new executive order went into effect on Wednesday. So yoga decided to cancel on their own. We did hold a very small art class, which I think went off great. Everybody seemed to love it. We followed as many protocols as we could. Everybody had their own table. We used that large room. I think we had 5 participants, so they were spaced out. We've made sure that the building has obviously been sanitized completely after the election and after the events. So right now we're on hold as far as indoor activities until that order gets updated or we feel that it's safe to do. We are still providing meals to seniors even over the holidays. So if they let us know, we made sure to order them extra meals that they will be picking up with their meal order on this Wednesday. Yeah, this Wednesday. I'm already into December. So we're going to continue sending out activity packs. We're going to continue doing home checks on them, not going to their home, but calling. We are delivering pantry packs to people who need those, and we're doing senior kits to go so they have activities to work on. And a lot of those are being sponsored by our partners in the area.
Thank you, Emily. Next is the Township Board report. Bob?
Yep, I'm live here. Well, our meeting when was it, a week ago or so in November, there really wasn't a whole lot. There was some ordinances as we change our code of ordinance, you have to just update them. So those were in there. We spent a lot of time discussing salaries, which is always awkward. Obviously, it all has to be done in public session, and it's all salaries of all the directors. So to me, that's an awkward situation to discuss salaries. So we struggled, but got through that. And so the 2021, I'll say fiscal year and budget was approved. So everything was, whatever's excuse me, normally done. So the resolutions and all the stuff that was done. So what I'm getting at is, starting in January, whatever we have on our parks budget, we need to start planning and getting going to bring that up before the board. So however you, Emily, and your staff want to handle that. All that stuff was approved, and so we should be good to go. I'm trying to think. I guess some of that's employee staff too, so you can be thinking about those type things. There were some conditional rezoning that was done for some property over on Martin Road that ultimately passed. So we'll see something going in where the old driving range was over time. I mean, it'll take probably a year or so to get going. I don't think there was really a whole heck of a lot else. That was it. To be honest, the meeting was, I expected it to be 30 minutes long, and we probably spent, I don't know, 60, 90 minutes, not arguing, but trying to respectfully discuss salaries. So fairly benign meeting. Obviously, David Scott's last meeting, Larry, who's on this, but Larry's meeting was there. And I guess the other big thing is we did have our swearing in on the 19th. So on Thursday, everybody got sworn in. Vanessa was on lockdown. I guess her husband tested positive, so everybody's fine, but she may or may not have been sworn in. There's a certain time frame that she can. I think the clerk was going to go to her house and swear her in through the door or something like that. So everybody's been sworn in. So the new board technically is in place, and budgets are approved. So lock and load, ready to go. That's it. Unless you guys have questions. Okay.
All right, next is the park liaison reports. I'll just start in my top left and go through. Tim, you're first.
Yeah, I was driving through Glen Park the other day and last Friday, and it was used, and there were girls out there practicing for pitching, and father and daughter hitting fly balls out to her, and they had a pickup game at the boys field. Emily, I noticed that a lot of the trees have been painted white or have white coating on them of some kind.
Yeah.
Is that good trees or bad trees?
They're good trees. So the arborist recommended doing that to us to help deflect the sun that was burning up the bark on those trees. So we did that to save those trees.
And I noticed a few on the new entrance were not covered. Are those dead trees still, or not? Or why weren't they painted also?
Are they, Mark, can you answer that question? Were those dead?
I'm pretty sure they were dead. We pulled out as many dead as we could, and I know there's a few more that need to be pulled out. So I don't think they painted those because they said they were dead.
That makes sense. Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Bill?
Nothing to report over at Bicentennial.
Linda?
I've got nothing, and I think we're going to be discussing Hickory Glen coming up on item 8 anyway.
Barb?
I was over to Long Park. There are still people walking around looking at the birds and things, but there's still a lot of construction going on down the road, so it's not that hard to get into the park, but our regular entrance is blocked off. But Mark, one thing on it would be the northwest corner. There are a lot of branches that must have come down either when they were doing something, the parking lot or that, and they're right in the parking lot. So maybe somebody could go over, they'd have to have a truck to pick them up. So that's about it over there. Everything else seems to be okay.
All right, yeah, I noticed they've taken down a lot of trees there because of the tree line and all that stuff. So I'll go over there. If it's something that fell from the wind, we'll take care of it. If it's not, I'll talk to the foreman over there about picking those up.
Okay, and Bill will talk to you. I talked to him tonight about the Little Free Library, so he'll be getting in contact with you about that soon.
Okay, good.
Okay, that's it.
Thanks. Next is Bob.
So the only thing I would say over at the Wise Road Properties, Victory and Wise Woods, is that they're getting, I won't say a lot of use, but they're getting some decent use. And so I think it's time to resurrect the parking lot trail maintenance. I don't know specifically. I guess I'd say keep our ears open. The Wise Woods side is always our deer hunting side. And I have heard, it seems to, we had an issue a couple, 3 years ago, and that seemed to die for a couple years. And I think we're having some, whether it's incursion onto our property or deer stuff going on over there, I don't know. But I think obviously if we can get trail stuff done and marked over time, more people using it as trails, I think that will help. I really don't want to have to spend money fencing in a park from the neighbors. But anyway, that's really about all I had on those. Would maybe relook at our
For the
whatever
small parking
our
lot.
plan was there. I know we were trying to attach it to other things to get work
Yeah.
done. Maybe we can, I don't know if it is or does or doesn't, but take advantage of the COVID issue. Maybe we'll get good rates, or at least find out where we are now on it.
We were looking at
Putting things out to
redoing,
bid.
we were looking at redoing Long Park's parking lot also, so maybe we can join those together as one
Okay.
project.
That's it.
Okay, the parks, not the parks, the trails are really well maintained back in there.
On the Wise Wood side,
On both sides, yeah.
well, there isn't a whole lot of trails on the other side. It's
On the
wherever
south
people
side?
walk. I mean, there's the open field type trails that I've seen anyway.
So if you go
Um,
up from the graveyard side, there's a lot of trails.
Okay, so I don't come in that direction. So,
And it seems like they're all well maintained.
That's-
Somebody rebuilt one of the bridges across the river this summer.
and see, that's part of the
Walk
issue
across
because,
that.
well, that causes a lot of issues on the cemetery side, and which we
Yes.
obviously don't want people parking in the cemetery, right, Barb? To
Yes,
get
and
over
they-
into the park.
And Bob, they have been. I saw a car
I know
there
they
again
have.
the other day.
Yep, they're parked way in the back, and the problem
Yes.
is they run over stuff if they're not careful. And so we really don't want them parking on that side. So I don't know, that may be something we need to look at, trying to figure out how we cut that down, really stop it. And I don't know what that is, but
Does
so
the
anyway.
power company own like the strip of land that the power lines are on? That's on the,
They
West
don't
side?
own it. I don't believe they own it. If anything, they have right away.
because that connects to the park and would be a logical place to put a parking lot right there.
We own a
Maybe.
sliver right there that goes out to Carroll Lake Road. And I think that's where you're talking about, because we had looked in the original plan, that is identified as an entrance in and a parking location.
Right.
Right.
But
I
that
guess
don't-
that wasn't the one
That's
I
not
was
what
thinking.
she's talking.
No, okay,
No, I'm talking
No,
about
that's-
right
that's-
across from the library exit.
I got you, okay.
Yeah, that's sort of across from Leo's, sort of diagonally.
Okay.
And that's about the width of a driveway, 8 or
Yeah.
10 feet.
Yeah. All right. Next is Sarah.
Yep. I'm not on mute, right? You can hear me?
You're allowed.
We can hear you.
Okay. So nothing, well, I was on the planning committee meeting earlier this month regarding the Marathon Station over there on Commerce Road, east of Sleeth, east of Commerce and Sleeth. And they're planning on doing, expanding their current, what they proposed was going from about 900 square feet to over 3,000. Obviously, there was some feedback from the local community about, does it need to be that big? One of the things that they had mentioned that I was looking forward to seeing in the plans was sidewalks. And I don't know how far the sidewalks are going to go, but if there's connectivity there that we can, I don't know, take advantage of for sidewalk to buyers would be fantastic. So not anything necessarily to report, but maybe just, is it something that I should talk to Dave Campbell about, or who to get
I'll
more
talk to
information on
sidewalks-
that?
Yeah, that's a
General-
great idea.
generally the sidewalks are for their property, which means it would stop as soon as it hits the old meat market or whatever you want to call it, that's next door. I think it's going to be the dentist office. And then there's the open property before it gets down to buyers. So, I mean, as people do things, we are requiring them to put in sidewalks. So further west, where the veterinary office is, when she redid some stuff, was required to put in sidewalks. So that's slowly, and I'll emphasize slowly, being done. There was talk at some point as to how much sidewalks the township wanted to do. It's costly to put in sidewalks. And so whether that was to be done as a ballot question to people or not, anyway, and along with our pathways. So it was all being done in conjunction with trying to do our pathway stuff. So if you haven't seen our pathway plan, Emily has that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
was
so-
identified as a connection to deal with the crossing for the library, because you have people darting across. And so we needed to make that corner connection, and extending that pathway down by buyers into the corner would help start the process of getting that crossing there at the light for people to cross safely over to the library. But we can look into it more.
I mean, it was just a thought. If they're,
It's a good
you know,
thought.
they're coming up with plans, and you know,
Yep.
they want to, you know, build up, and we, you know, why not try and use the leverage we have to get what we want? My only thought. So anyway, that's all I have.
Thanks. And I will go last. I got Dodge Park. It is always super busy. The library side has been very quiet lately, but I have seen kids playing in the playground equipment on the north side, as well as all the new great stuff on the south side. And that is it for me.
So Emily, I haven't seen how are we on the bathrooms and all the parking and all that type stuff? How far along?
They will definitely be complete this year. Actually, I have some updated pictures I can send out to everybody as far as how the building looks, but they did get the concrete poured. That company did come in and do their service project and donated all the landscaping and all the irrigation, and that work has all been completed. So I would think we're ahead of schedule.
Oh, is the full parking lot open?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
I'm just curious, when you say it's been full and really busy, how full the parking lot is. I mean, you know, the new full parking lot, how full it is. Because we did have, I'll call it phase 2, about parking lot type stuff, and I just didn't know where we were with that.
So
I
we
know in
talked about
soccer
that.
games, yeah, we talked about it last month with the
Last
soccer
month.
games, and the soccer organization has expressed the need for more parking. And at that point in time, I think we need to give it a full year with an open parking lot to see how it goes. It could get worse, it could get better. I know Scarlet Smile is still seen as a novelty, and people are home now, so there's more people venturing out to the parks that we may not see in a normal world. So I still think that we need a solid, somewhat of a normal year to determine if we want to spend that kind of money on parking. But soccer did express last month that they are seeing an issue with the current way parking is.
Is the trash any better than it was?
Mark,
There used to be a lot of trash. I don't know if,
Yeah, it's getting
Great.
better, Bob. Not as many. It's
Okay.
getting colder out. People aren't using as much, but there's still trash. Not nearly as bad as it was. So it's getting better on us.
Thank you. Next is the Village of Wolverine update.
Yeah, hi. We had our election. We've got a couple new council members. Our new administrator starts on the 30th. And if you haven't gone by the Veterans Memorial at night, it's lit up, it's beautiful, and they're still selling bricks if you have somebody you want to pay tribute to. So anyways, that's about it at the village.
Thank you. Next is the Maintenance Department report.
Okay, we had that windstorm last week. I think we counted about 11 trees down. We had few of them on the path. 3 or 4 good-sized trees. The other ones were smaller trees. The paths, we went through those the last couple of weeks, clearing all the leaves. I know they get slippery and a little dangerous for people to walk on, so the paths are clear, and we're gonna keep an eye on those until no more leaves are dropping. We have residents, I don't know if we can do anything about this, off South Commerce, they're raking their leaves from their yard and putting them between the pathway and the road. There's 2 residents there. We noticed their yards were clean and there's piles of leaves right there. And I know we have oak trees that are there, but I don't know if that's acceptable to put the big piles there.
I'd let Jay know, that's an ordinance thing. They're responsible to technically to the center of the street. So I would let Jay know if you think there's an issue, and he can stop by and politely tell them they need to take care of it.
Will do. We'll give it a
He's our
try
ordinance
anyways.
guy, at least at this point.
Right.
He loves it, and he loves that job.
Yeah, he does. Millrace and Bicentennial both have graffiti. Millrace was pretty good for a while, but it's a little bit over there now, and we're gonna get over there and notice some pretty bad words and stuff like that. So we'll get rid of that before the end of the week. The Bicentennial is along back of the pavilion, so you can't see it from the road. So we have a little bit of time, hopefully, to warm up enough to get paint on that.
Is that new paint working or no?
See, we haven't gotten that yet. I'm still waiting for this guy to respond to me. I think I have to go to Sherwin-Williams and get some of theirs. But we were fine when we painted that, and once we caught all those kids, but I guess we have some new kids. I know Dave had some field cameras that were in his office that we wouldn't mind putting up to see if we can catch the kids at Bicentennial. And Millrace, see if there's anybody new. Byers, I'm gonna winterize that, the well there for their outside water. And that's about it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Next is the memorial bench.
I believe that she is on. She would be one of the callers. But she did send me an email, and she is requesting to put a bench in honor and memory of one of her friends. I did find out she's interested in putting this bench around Scarlett's Smile. So the first picture that Rachel's getting to that I included in your packet was an example of a bench that she sent me. And I replied to her that, normally when we have something like this, we like to stick to a smaller plaque, like we allowed to be put on the playground equipment and what's currently on the benches over there. The next pictures that are in your packet are benches that are actually around Scarlett's Smile right now. So with that being said, if it's to go around Scarlett's Smile, it is my recommendation that those benches stay the same. And yeah, and I did send her over, the price that I have is from when those benches were ordered, which would have been back in 2019. So I would need to confirm that that's the price today for those benches, if that is the road she wanted to go down. I did ask if maybe there was another location that she wanted to consider putting the bench in a different park. But if she's on, I'm not sure if she is or not, I'll let her speak more to that. Does she have to raise her hand?
Yes, press star 9 if you're on the line and you'd like to address the board. We'll give it just a moment here. Press star 9.
Emily, do those bench prices include fees for the installation by our people?
They would be installed by our staff. So which bench are you looking at, Linda?
Any bench. I know that we add a little bit when we do them to offset the costs of our DPW installing, like if there has to be a cement pad or some kind of, time involved in putting the bench down. I was just curious.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it needed a cement pad, if it got to that, I think that's something the Parks Committee and then the Township Board would look at being a total project. I do think there's some areas within the township that we could install a bench that wouldn't need a cement pad. If she's not on, I can definitely relay the message to her as far as the road the Parks Committee would like to go down. Like I said, it's my feelings that around Scarlet Smile, we want that to all stay the same. I know there's opportunity maybe over at Maple Glen where there's already cement pads over there, or even over at Long Park, where there would be an opportunity to put another bench in. Obviously, the final design of the bench and the plaque would come back through the Parks Committee for approval, and then obviously the Township Board for final approval. But I just wanted to start the conversation, see if it's something you guys would be interested pursuing with her. Make sure that you guys are on the same page as me as far as the plaque goes. Yeah, those types of questions.
By the way, no one from the public has raised their hand.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I agree that certainly if it's around Scarlet Smile, it needs to be the same, just so everything looks the same. I think if we're starting to get requests to put benches in other parks and other areas, maybe trailways that, like a Michigan Airline Trail, you may even want to reach out to them and coordinate if they have I'll call it a preferred style, just so that we're being consistent throughout our parks. And
I agree with that. I think there needs to be
with that we need to stay consistent. If it's the little plaque, which I think is what it should be, it should remain the same throughout. So somebody says, well, why did they get that one? And I can't have that plaque style. It's all the same. That's the way it is.
Well, and as silly as it sounds, it's just a bench, but a bench speaks words, and if it's consistent through all of our parks, and if we have the opportunity to do that, I think now is the time to start. I mean, this bench was obviously a pricey bench that is in over at Scarlet Smile, so maybe we could find something that's the same style that the parks could approve, so that when we do get these requests a lot, so that when we do get these requests, we can say, yep, here's the information, here's the company, here's the approved plaque size, and then that just leaves us to approve the location.
Yep.
Okay, so I will reach back out to her, and we will do work within our office of finding some benches that are similar. Obviously, we want a bench that's going to be durable also. So I'm gonna bring back a few options so that we can select what that bench is we want to see.
do you think this whole, do we do it as a policy? Is that what you're you're talking about?
I think so.
Then that would go to the Township Board.
Yep.
For blessing.
Yep.
Okay.
It's kind of like even the same thing as a picnic table. You and I have had that discussion where we have.
I know.
Yep. Okay, I'm good with that.
All right. Okay, thanks, Emily. All right, next is the Hickory Glen Concept Plan Review. I'm just going to pull that up here for everybody.
Okay. So I did send this out to the leagues. I did get some feedback from Josh, which we still need to work through. I know that he is on, so I'm going to ask him to maybe chime in a little bit, but he did have some concerns, I believe, on fields 4, 5, and 6, that not including the overflow parking. So you can see there's dashed lines out towards Glengarry Road. That would be considered the overflow parking, and then that would also be considered an emergency entrance only. So that entrance exit way would not be opened all the time. It would be chained, and the league would have the ability to open that up if need be, as well as open up that parking area up in the front for special events. So obviously, we went into this park. We didn't want to make a lot of changes to this park, but we needed to address issues. We don't want to cut down a bunch of trees. We don't want to put down a bunch of pavement. We want to keep the small town park feel. It's got a lot of maturity to it. So what he's telling me is that for fields 4, 5, and 6, that the parking that's listed on here would not be enough to accommodate them at their normal league play. So we will continue those conversations with them to see if we can come up with some kind of a solution, even if we just develop some kind of drop-off point and then identify areas by those fields. It would be handicap parking areas. I mean, ideally, if you have a grandparent or something that's not able to walk a distance, and they could park and watch their grandchild play. So does anybody here have any feedback on that? I know that they also had concern about the electrical lines and the water lines by the batting cages, which this isn't there yet. When we would go to do the work, obviously we would survey it and then make the adjustments to accommodate that. This is just a concept.
Well, once again, everybody wants to park right next to the field where their kids are playing.
Sure.
Sorry, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And we're providing them with, directed parking areas to prevent from what goes on now, people parking all over the place. And sorry, that's the way it is. That's where the parking is. I agree with maybe these down on the end, a few handicap spots for grandparents, and maybe a drop off, but you got to walk. It's 100 yards.
Right.
I mean,
well, that's the way we went into this. We wanted to make parking pods more than parking lots.
So the biggest thing for us is I just want to let people understand how much parking is going to be needed. So just for awareness, typically our teams have anywhere between 12 and 14 players. So assuming that we don't have any player carpooling and or parent carpooling, you're looking at about 25 to 35 cars per game. So where our concern is for 4, 5, and 6, which are those 3 fields kind of right smack in the middle. And then you've got field 7 over to the right. Just in those, let's call them 4 fields, you're talking about 130 parking spots ish.
Yeah,
unless
Josh,
you walk 10 minutes across all the diamonds from field 1 out to field 7. So,
but you also have the parking over there at the football field.
Yeah, and between the football field, further towards baseball, all that is open for potential parking too.
Well, even along the drive-in.
Like, I guess the question is like, what's the grand scheme look like? And that's kind of where we're coming to you guys, is like, this is a great start and it's fantastic. What is this? Is this the end goal? Is this like, let's make some more line parking over by the football stadium so that baseball can utilize it? Like, what do we want?
The end goal is to eliminate what I feel is a safety concern with people just parking anywhere and everywhere. And I mean, it's been the way it's always been. People have been parking up and down Glengarry Road. So, when somebody who doesn't know this park pulls in, and they're parking the way they feel they should be parking, because there is no designation whatsoever other than in front of the concession building. That is obvious. You can see where there would be parking. So the idea here is to give some kind of formality throughout the park to identify those areas where parking is, so then you don't have cars darting in and out, or parking in a way that maybe eliminates potential parking spots, but still keeping the park feel. Like I said, there's a lot of maturity in this park, and I don't think that anybody wants to see us cut down a large area and then pave it if we can accomplish our goal by doing this. Maybe we do add a drop-off point. And I guess my question is, and Josh, please tell me, you did tell me, and I don't remember, but how many cars come through on a league day? It was like 300, wasn't it?
We fill every field on league day, Monday through Friday, and even again on Saturdays when we have our league play. So again, it's basically 7 fields times roughly 30 to 40 cars per field is how many parking spots we need for every session of games. Now, we also have that whole issue, just like everyone else, when one game ends and there's a game right behind it, you get this weird overlap where you now have like twice as many parking people for not that many spots, because if you're doubling up games on field 6, people aren't leaving and then showing up at this, like there's this overlap where you're gonna end up having like twice as many cars as parking spots, but eventually people leave and then you backfill. So
are you taking into consideration the parking along the drive-in? I mean, people are gonna have to walk, yes.
For
But-
sure. And I mean, I guess the biggest things for us is going to be, we're probably going to want to put some sort of signage in here that says, you know, if you're playing on field 7, you probably need to have parking spots from field 7 and then those 2 sections coming into field 6 on the right-hand side. Otherwise,
Okay.
those people are walking like 10 minutes. And then we get into the safety concern of, you got a 5-year-old or 6-year-old kid just sprinting from the far left side of the park through the parking lot so he can get to his game on field 7.
If we put in maybe some pathways, so yes, it's not illustrated on here as far as the parking up by the football, but when we go to do the work, it's not going to be difficult to add that in. And that's kind of already, I don't want to call it organized parking, but it's more of an organized parking area. If we put in some kind of trailways, a pathway from that area to where the playground is, would people then, you're cutting the walk in half.
Emily, even the going down by diamond number 7, which I think is furthest to the east,
Yeah.
is that correct, Josh?
That's correct.
All right, there's a pathway there that's the water and sewer line or water line from that park. So, I mean, there's already an area there that goes to that back parking lot, and that back parking lot is against the fence of basically 6. I know
we had a lot of discussion about that area, and there's actually a lot of wetland over there. So that area it's a huge challenge. So we would actually have to do a survey. You're not wrong. It's just, we were trying to keep this cost effective. And
No. What I'm saying, Emily, is that behind field number 6 are just some trees. That is basically almost at the parking lot.
So
I
see what you're saying. Along that fence line, we actually saw a car driving there. Yes.
Yeah, right.
But then are we concerned about fly balls?
No. Not if you park in the Hawks parking lot.
Oh, I get what you're saying. All the way back. I thought you were saying putting in more parking. I got you.
That's only the length of a ball field, the outfield, and they're 200 and some foot fences.
Yeah.
So it's not that deep if we organize that to bring a pathway along from north to south between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. That's just a walkway, not a parking way. But
yep, I understand what you're saying now. Absolutely.
That would eliminate the problem that Josh is saying, that you got a kid darting all the way across the parking lot.
And then maybe it's just education for the league. Like Josh was saying, we identify parking pods that are specific for
diamonds,
fields. I understand too. I mean, my kid plays and they want them to be there hour and a half early before a game. So it's hard to eliminate crossover in this world. And we definitely don't want to hinder them. I think that this is a better solution than what they're currently dealing with.
Right.
And it allows them to open up an area that will deal with tournament play. So
I think the drop off thing too would also be beneficial, because if a parent can drop their kid off right at field 7 we got the cul-de-sac there, so that's good. But like if we had a drop off point right around 4, 5, and 6 where they could drop and then go park themselves, I think that'd be hugely beneficial. Maybe that's what we make the old driveway as a drop off kind of, I don't know, but that would help as well. It's just, like I said, my concern is there's definitely not going to be enough parking for all the players on field 7 and 6 without like squeezing into 4 and 5. Then you're pushing those kids onto field 3. It's just it's like a domino effect.
Okay, we can definitely, and I'm going to set up a meeting with you, and it was Bob, Linda, and George who were on this committee. So we'll set up a meeting with your reps and invite Pete and obviously the Mountain Bike Association onto that call too. It's hard to remember, this is a concept. And so it's really easy to take an aerial and lay something out. But obviously when you get out there and start working, you can tweak some things around.
Emily, I had thought that we had, I'm still confused as to why we are not having 2 entrances at this park. So many times I've driven by there and there's cars going in, cars going out, and they're backed up, and I don't know why we would bother to put in a egress and not just pave it and open it up so that people can get in and out more freely.
Cost is one thing, and then we would have to have further discussion with the road commission.
Yeah,
So,
we would have to put down acceleration, de-acceleration lane either side of that. It'd be very expensive. I think we went through that discussion.
and
at
this
one-
was reviewed by Mike Powell over at the Village. So I think that's honestly, Linda, what it comes down to. And ideally, we looked at putting the permanent entrance in down further by the bike path to go back to the Hawks Stadium. When, again, we were looking at bringing in an entrance down by what is Field 7, but that is so wet in there that we couldn't do that.
Yeah, I
And
remember, okay.
ideally, with this location, it's not an ideal location for a permanent entrance, but it does address safety concerns. Now, if there was inclement weather or an emergency situation, we could get people out of the park. So I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think it just comes down to cost and wetlands and more survey work and where we're at. And right now, I think, was it a $200,000 project, which is very, very doable.
Okay.
And then I did have one more question. I think Emily answered this, but I just wanted to make sure when we install these things for the parking, we are not planning on doing any sort of lighting or walkway lights or anything like that within the park at this time. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, well, if any of the parks members have more concerns, please send those to me. And I will set up that meeting with the league reps and obviously our subcommittee to further our discussion with this so we can get that back to Living Lab and hopefully get this project as a go the first of the year.
Sounds good. Next on the agenda is the Richardson Center concept plan review. Emily, that one does not have a picture, right?
No, it doesn't. And I thought I was going to be further along with this one than I am. So this is just on here as a placeholder right now. We're still in the process of getting community feedback on this one before we bring it to present. So placeholder at this time.
Okay. The next item is 2021 concerts and events.
So again, this is a placeholder, although I added the word events on there just because we saw how quickly things can change. And so I kind of want to have a better plan in case things change on us again next year so that we can still offer the community something. We actually got a transmitter for the Richardson Center so that we can start doing bingo from their cars, which I know it sounds crazy, but we've actually had a lot of requests and centers have had a lot of success doing it. With that being said, with that transmitter, we could purchase our own equipment to do a movie. And we could then plan on hosting, I don't know, maybe once a month, like we used to do the concerts, doing a movie in the park, just so that our residents aren't left with nothing. So I just wanted your feedback on that. I think we're going to still plan on going ahead with the M5K. I know that they did the Outrun Hunger and it was a huge success and they abided by all the guidelines and everything. So
Outrun Hunger did not use any indoor facilities because we couldn't let anybody in, and they had a lot of participation. They did a really good job with it. They raised the most money they've ever raised, had the most participants they've had. So I have the numbers somewhere. If you want them, I can give them to you, but I would suggest we reach out to them. If you're at least from I won't say benchmark, but an idea on how to handle a, whatever you want to call it, restricted race.
Right.
Now the movie thing, the only thing I think we ought to look at the stuff you need to do it. I'll call it a drive-in movie, if that's what you mean by a transmitter.
I do, yes.
I think that might be good in August as it starts getting dark. I don't think
Even that
July and
early.
June doing a movie at 11 o'clock when it's dark enough might work, but certainly we could have done something in the August timeframe and have people park and watch the movie. I think that would
I
be
even
cool.
thought maybe April and May. I know Allison Kennedy, she lives in Milford and she's been a part of the drive-in movies that they did, and they were successful with it. So I think it just kind of gives something. This year was thrown at us and we canceled, but I don't want to see that happen again.
And doesn't Oakland County have a big screen or something?
I don't think they have a screen, but honestly, I was looking on Amazon when I got the transmitter, and the blow-up screens, they're like $300.
Yeah, but the blow-up screens are like 8 feet. What do you, I don't know.
No, it was a 20-foot one was less than $300. Now
The
you
other
guys
would
need
be
to tell me
ask-
if that's big enough or not,
I
but
don't know. But to ask, you could also ask the people we do the music with.
I
and what-
have. And he's
Okay.
reached out to his contact and I haven't gotten anything back from him. So I will
Okay.
follow up with them too. But
Wolverine Lake's been doing dive-in movies for years, and we've used screens, and we've also used white linens, beds sewn together between trees. And it works beautifully. And we've been doing them every month, almost every week, July and August at 9:30. But I mean, I think you can test something out pretty cheaply and see how much actual attendance you get before you start investing in permanent screens.
okay.
Just a thought.
Yeah, maybe another community has something that we can borrow too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure J.R. Blankenship's taken it over. And I'll find out what they've got, and I'm sure they'd be happy to help out.
Okay.
Emily, I actually, a good friend of mine and lives in my neighborhood. He does all the time just because it's fun and kids love it. On our island in Commerce Lake, he'll do like a drive-in, but for boats in the summertime. He's a wedding DJ and does like all the photo booths and anywho, he's very affordable. If you would like me to reach out to him, he's right around the corner. I don't know what size screen he has, but obviously big enough to throw it up on a little island in the middle of Commerce Lake and have boats park all around it. So I'll reach out to him and just connect you guys.
Okay, and then I mean that leaves us with having to pay the licensing fee for the movie, which that depends on what movie we pick is what the licensing fee is. So okay, we'll keep doing our research. I just wanted to get your feedback and feel. I mean, I think that even if we are able to hold concerts, maybe we throw one or two of these in just in case we are seeing with the year that we have to cancel again. Okay.
Up next is agenda requests. Any agenda requests for our next meeting?
I've got nothing.
All right. We can move on to item 12, other matters. Anything that we have not discussed today?
Nope, can't
All
wait till
right.
we in person again.
Same. All right. If there's nothing else, I think we can do a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Motion by Petch, second by Wickert to adjourn. I think we need to do a roll call.
Pesh,
Aye.
Wickert,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Garbett,
Yes.
Champagne,
Yes.
Burkeiser,
Support, yes, aye,
Cat.
whatever.
Cast.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Motion adjourned or meeting adjourned.
Out.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
everyone. All right.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Happy